If you've been following my channel, you probably noticed all of the Xbox content that I have, and a lot of the times whenever I'm playtesting a controller or a headset or any of that stuff, you'll always notice that one game that pops up more often than not, and that's Gears of War 5. And for the most part, it's not only that that's one of my favorite games of this generation, but the Gears series overall has been something that I've been playing since the Xbox 360 days. And I remember playing it for the first time on 360 and being blown away by how much fun it was and how great it looked. But for me, the thing that makes it special is the multiplayer mode. And in that game, even from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, all of those games and all of those entries, I've been obsessed with the multiplayer, and it's, as it stands with my Xboxes that I've owned, it's the most played game that I have on any generation of Xbox. And in this video, I'm going to go over as to what makes the multiplayer in Gears to me so special and continuously fun to play. Let's take a look. I remember back when the original Gears of War game came out, I was actually at a friend's house and he kept talking about how this was one of the best looking games he ever played and one of the most fun games he'd ever played. And we started playing the single player campaign, and I remember Gears just felt different. The mechanics used in it were far different than the games that I was mostly playing at the time, which were games like Halo and stuff. But at that time, I remember getting into the game and just feeling like there was something special about the way that Gears of War played. And fast forward a couple months later, I get my own Xbox 360, and I end up getting a copy of Gears, and I started playing it online. And I remember, to be honest, not really liking it. And I think the reason for that was I felt like the learning curve took a lot of time to get used to. However, I had a couple buddies, including that friend there who introduced me to the game, who were playing it online at the time, so I kind of roughed through it, and I kept giving it chances because at that time when you're a teenager, it was fun just talking to your friends online and hanging out before you guys would go actually do stuff in person. So I remember we started playing it pretty consistently, and I started to click, and that game started to just feel right. And there was something about the strategic movements of that game and the way that your character moved and the delays in some of your shots with different weapons that it felt like there was a level of mastery when it came to playing that game. Now at the time, don't get me wrong, Halo had its own skill set, but in games like Halo 3, I just kind of run around as much as I could and shoot guys as quick as possible. Whereas with Gears, it felt like I had to think a lot more to really get good at that game. Fast forward to Gears 2, there were a couple issues with the servers at that time, but it still was the same magic and they really advanced upon it. And then to me, the epitome of the whole Gears franchise at that time period or that generation was Gears 3. And I felt like almost everything on my wish list that I wanted with Gears to become perfected happened. Following Gears 3, there was Gears 4 that came out, and I have to say that I know that some people were mixed about Coalition taking over. Me personally, I thought they really refined the movement, and I thought they also really refined the actual shot time that it took with things like your shotgun, which might sound trivial, but I felt like in previous Gears games, there was a bit of a delay sometimes when it came to shooting your shotgun, which was noticeable, and that made the game a little harder to play in. Between Gears 4 and 5, I felt like Coalition has pretty much ironed out all of the previous issues in the past Gears games and made them nearly perfect. And the thing about Gears that keeps me coming back that I really want to highlight is the game has multiple play styles. You can use different weapons that are more efficient than others for killing other people, but the thing that really stands out to me is all of it feels almost like chess. And it might sound like a silly analogy, but it's like playing chess with shotguns, especially with the Gnasher, which is like the staple weapon of any online match. Anyone who's seasoned at Gears knows you got to switch between shotgun and Lancer, kind of at a whim, depending on how close to proximity someone is. But when it really gets down to it and you're jumping around, you're getting into it, a lot of the game feels like you have to think 2-3 steps ahead to even engage in any combat scenario. And I think, to me, that's what makes Gears such a special online game. And it's something that I'm pretty good at games like Call of Duty, but a lot of that's just reflex based to me. Gears is a mixture of reflexes, it's a mixture of strategic thinking, and it's also a mixture of quick thinking when you're in the heat of the moment, which to me is one of the most exciting things about that game. And I think with Gears 5 and some of the new modes that they've even advanced upon, like free-for-all, which has really changed a lot of the landscape of the playstyle of that game, it's continuously made that game, to me, one of the best multiplayer tactical shooters on the market. And that's a game, to me, that I don't think I'll ever stop playing. They'll make Gears 30 years from now, I'll be still playing that game, because to me, this series has something special that not many games have captured, and it's something that when it comes down to those different combat sequences and scenarios, I don't get that from a Call of Duty. I don't get that from a Halo or any other type of shooter games that are on the market. So this is basically just my opinion about the series, but to me, this game holds a special place in my heart, and I'd love to hear your guys' experiences as well in the comments. So let me know what you guys think about the Gears franchise and where it's going.